SWUG. And so you may be asking, what does SWUG stand for? Oh, okay, we don't have that. So SWUG, SOLIDWORKS User Group, you're all here to get a SOLIDWORKS certification at the end of about week 6 or week 7, do a little final project, stuff like that. Before we start though, we do have this slide right here that is also up there, and you get an entry into the raffle for every workshop you attend. And then there's also the QR code for the Discord, because we post all of our problems there and all of the materials that you'll need in order to get certified. You have to pass it. You have to be good enough to get certified. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. And at the very end of this, SOLIDWORKS has a CSWA, which is the Certified SOLIDWORKS Associate, and that is about 10% of people with SOLIDWORKS licenses, or yeah, SOLIDWORKS licenses actually have that certification. So it looks good if you have it, and that's why you're all here. No, because you're a member of this club, and we can give out exam vouchers for free. Yeah, you guys get to take this for free, get certified, yeah, unique. Yeah, you have to wait a little bit. Do you know how long? Yeah, like 2 weeks. For higher level ones, you have to wait longer, because then it's just a skill issue, but yeah. So for the people that were here last week or that just attempted the homework, does anyone have any questions on the different homework problems that we had? Awesome. So we're just going to go over them real quickly, just to get a little sense of what everyone, or what we did when we designed them. So let's see. It's loading. Fun little fact, if you're in a drawing and you have the original part, you can right-click and open part right here, and it will just open the part, because it shows the dependency of like where the part came from. So for the guitar pick, this is the first out of the 3 homework problems. Just going to go over it real quickly. This is just a simple extrude. The way that I created it was I created one long line across the top, and then I just kind of had 2 more lines, and then filleted all of these. Yeah, it was pretty simple, but the main thing was just making sure it's centered, and then making sure the fillets were the correct radius, and then the right dimensions. Any questions on this part? What do you mean connect the lines? Hold on, wait. I'm trying to put this here so I don't have to hold it. So let's see. No, that was wrong. Might be. Hello? So wait, you said combine the lines? What do you mean? Oh, so yeah, so what I did is I basically just went like this, made that long line across the top, pretend like it's straight, and then went like this, like that, and then you can just basically fillet all of these according to the radius that you want. And just make sure it's centered under here. We're gonna go over relations today, so like how I made it so that it was centered. But yeah, that was just a beginning little guitar pick. For the wrench, let's see. It's one sketch because this is still the sketch. But the way that we did it was, if you take a rectangle, you can do the center rectangle, which is just up here, and it's the center rectangle right here, and you just basically go like this, and then you can set the dimension to 200. I'm not going to do that, but just generally how it's made. And then you make a circle that, when you do the circle, it's going to snap towards like the middle, and then you click it like that, and then that's going to get you this little circle. Parallelogram is a simple parallelogram, and then you can constrain that based off of what you wanted. Then you use trim entities like this. That's how you get it like that. And then for the other side is a little more complicated. What I would do is I would first do a circle, again, like this. But then I would go like this, down, kind of like here. So it's vertical, or somewhat vertical. I don't really know what's going on. And then like this, and then I would select, and then I would do that again. And basically what you want to do is make sure that both sides are equal. So I'd select this, right, shift select this, and then do, I didn't select the right things. This, that, and so they're equal, which is right here, this one up here. And you can also select it up here. But then basically, once I have a little body with a bunch of lines on it, I can go back to this and then take out the ones I don't want, and then you just end up with a wrench. Any questions just on the general design process of that? I know I went a little fast, but we're just kind of reviewing the design process. Because the biggest thing about SolidWorks is that because it is like the parametric design software, each design choice you make and each shape that you make builds on itself. And so in order to design a part, you need to have like an overall idea of how you're going to actually make it. So last one is the simple phone stands. How many of you guys attempted this one? How many of you got it correct? Wow. I didn't get this correct on my first one because I forgot one dimension. But this is a little bit far from simple. Basically, the way that this was created is it deals with a lot of just square parts. So this thing right here has a lot of fillets. But if you just look at kind of the general shape, oh, I forgot there's colors too. If you look at the general shape of it, you'll notice that like this can be just like one that goes across, a little block that goes up, and like this. And then all of the dimensions are just kind of created with the drawing. Any questions on this one? This part right here? Wait. Oh, the set. Wait, what do you, wait, which part? Like how I got left? Top. Oh yeah, the fillet? Yeah, so right here, yeah, I should go over that. So if you have two lines that are like what, like kind of perpendicular, and you go to the arc tool, what you can do is do tangent arc right here. And if you select the endpoint of a line, it'll automatically go tangent. You have to be kind of finicky with it because sometimes it wants to, yeah. And then it'll go like that. And as you can see, like if I just click it here, this center is going to automatically be alongside this little line that goes, the little line that goes across all of this. And that's how you know it's tangent, if the center is lined up like this. And then you basically just do the same thing with a different tangent arc, like that. And then, let me get rid of this. And then in order to make sure they're concentric, you select this, select that, and then click concentric, like he had. Although that's like a little more advanced. Basically, all you needed to do is make sure that they were tangent to all of these. And when you make the line attached to an arc, this is just kind of like another tip. I don't know if you can see it on here, but there's a yellow line that extends below my cursor. And when you snap it to this, it will be tangent because you see the arc highlight. So that's just kind of like a little more advanced of a tip, but yeah. Going over it a little quickly, but that was just the homework. Any questions on the homework before we get started? Oh, yeah, we have more food, by the way. A lot of drinks. Oh, how do I do that? 2-minute break.
Guys, we're here for, if you guys were here for week 1, then you guys probably already saw these slides. Well, let's just go over it again for the sake of people who didn't come to the first one. So general logistics, you all are here. So I assume you guys know that this is every Tuesday until week 8 from 6 to 8 p.m. This room number is 3440 Bolter. This course is partly in-class material. As the weeks progress, we will have less and less lecture slide material, but we'll have more and more just instruction in SolidWorks itself. And then outside of class, we also assign homework. Please do the homework. I know it looks like a lot of homework, but just attempt everything that you can. If you have questions, please DM us on Discord, and we'll be more than happy to help. And office hours, again, none scheduled, but again, by DM if you want. If you're having trouble, we can set up a video call or we can just do it asynchronously. And just a short note that Siraj is out of country. He has updated his Discord username to say that he's out of country. So if you email him and he doesn't respond, then that's probably the reason why. So week 1, we covered introduction to SOLIDWORKS, that's SOLIDWORKS UI, how to navigate around, how to zoom, how to change your viewport, etc., as well as simple sketching. This week we'll go into simple feature creation. We're also going to cover a little bit more sketching, kind of sketching a little bit more advanced topics. And next week we'll go into advanced feature creation. So that was a very short lecture slide segment, but yeah, now's the time to open SOLIDWORKS. So I'm sure all of us right now are pretty familiar with what you see when you start up SOLIDWORKS. You just have this blank page, and then so as usual, we're going to go ahead and open a new part. So again, that's Control N, or you can also go up to the menu up here, File, New, and we want a part.
Awesome. So we're going to give you guys, did you guys do this last week? Because I know it was on the slides, but we didn't actually get to it. So no one looked, okay, awesome. So we'll give you probably like 3 or 4, like 5 minutes, I will just say 5 minutes. 5 minutes to attempt this on your own in order to get, a little warm up in. And then we'll get back to you in 5 minutes with how to make this. Yeah, you guys can keep working, but I'm just going to go over the general design process of how I made this. And stopping, that's way too fast for this modeling. So right here on the house, there's kind of like the main rectangle section, and there's the roof, and then there's the details on it. So what I did first is I was like, okay, let's get a base. So I went here, sketched on like the front plane. It really doesn't matter what you do for the sketch. And I actually created just a corner rectangle, but let's see. And rookie mistake, because I had to look at the units. It's inches, pounds, seconds, which means that I need to go to custom down here on the bottom right. Everyone see this? So then you go to inch, pound, second. Then I go back into the sketch. That way I can select the dimensions. So on the bottom here, it shows that it is 8 inches long. So I'm just going to do that. And then I don't actually see a vertical dimension right here. The only vertical dimension I see for the entire thing is kind of up here, so I'm just going to leave that for now. If you hold down the right mouse button and then swipe with the mouse, you'll have a couple different options. And then that's how I swipe up to get the smart dimension pretty quickly. You can also press S for a shortcuts menu. This is customizable, so if you right-click, you can customize this. I'm not sure how to customize this one because I don't use it as much, except for the dimension. But yeah, there's just a quick tip. So 8 inches right here, and then you'll see it snaps like that. So the second part is now there's going to be a roof. And I noticed that this is in the center right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a line right here, and then I guess just draw it down like that, and take another one, draw it down like this. And I'm going to take the center right here, and take the center here, right-click it so that I'm selecting both of them, and then making it vertical. And so now I can only move this up and down, but it's centered on the object. Now I'm going to basically make this into sort of like a rectangle, going like this. And this is a very crude way of making things to start with, because I'm basically just making things like the general shape, and then making the specific house after. So I know that these things are perpendicular, so I'm going to select this, click make perpendicular, do the same thing like this, or actually I can go like this, so that's parallel, select both of these, and do the same thing like this. These are parallel, and these right here should be perpendicular. And now I'm stuck with sort of like a rectangle, like it's kind of what we want. Any questions how I got here? Are you talking about being centered in the center of the house? Yeah. So I select this right here, and then I go, if you hold down, right, so if you right click, you can get the midpoint. Select the midpoint of that line, Or you can just hold your cursor down over it long enough and it will appear. So you just click that and then click the top and then select the vertical relation on the very left. Does that make sense? Cool. So now I'm going to look and I'll see, okay, this is 7.5, so I'm going to go to the top, dimension it like that, 7.5. And now I notice that this is 0.5. So I'm going to go like that, make this 0.5. And then I'll notice that this is actually the wrong way, so I need to drag this back down, sort of, around like this. And that gets 0.5 also. And now, I really can, if I go like this, doesn't really change that much. And you'll notice that they're pretty symmetrical. So now, in order to get it across, I have 11.2 inches. So I'm just going to go like this, go 11.2. But you'll notice, oh no, now this will be kind of adjusted like that. So what I need to do now is, if it's dragged all the way to this side, you'll notice that this is bigger than this part right here. Does everyone see that? So what I'm going to want to do is I want to make them an equal length so that it doesn't move like that. So I'm going to select this right here, this little thing, and then the bottom of the roof over here. And if you select make equal, now I can't drag it to the side anymore. Like if I select this, I can only drag it sort of up and down. Everyone following? Cool. And now I can trim this. And it's like sort of the house shape. But now there's one more dimension. In order to get this, I need to select this, and then this right here. This is 3.5. Oh, I've encountered another problem, because now it's like the same, but, whoa, oh, that's because I select, okay. Let me redo this again. And now I should get something that's like this. So it is an equal length now, and it's following all of the things that I set for it, except now it's not like aligned. So in order to do that, I'm going to select this, select that, and then make them horizontal. Is everyone following that? It's just kind of a lot of like, you'll see if you drag the blue vertices, you'll see where it can move, and if it like moves up and down, you'll know you need to constrain it vertically. If you can like left or right, sort of like that. Does that make sense? Awesome. So here's the general shape of the house. That's good. And now we're going to go for the door. For this, I just did simple blocks. Took the trim entities. I didn't take the trim entities. And then 1 inch. And then 1 inch. And then right here, this is just 2 inches high. And then, in order to get this little radius right here, I need 2 fillets, which are 0.4 inches. Any questions so far? Awesome. And now here's the most complicated part. Nope. This little part right here, there's a detail view down here. And basically, if you look on the top right, this gives you a good sense of like how the geometry is, because right here, these are just a bunch of black lines, so you can't really see exactly what you're looking at. But if you look at here, you'll notice that these 4 parts of the window are actually, like, those are holes. So now I know kind of what to design. So we're going to start by just making a line. Or actually, better yet, I'm going to go an arc. I think that's definitely how I started it. And I'll just put it kind of in a random spot. I can constrain it later. And I select like this, and I go up like that. And then I do it again. But because they're concentric, I want them to have the same center. So I go like that, and then I select both the arcs, make concentric. And I select 2 lines, like that. And so now, you'll notice that I can move these lines around, but they're still kind of vertical and like horizontal like that. So now what I want to do once I have this little structure, is everyone following what I just made right there? I created two arcs, made them concentric, and then put vertical and horizontal lines between them. So then you select circular sketch pattern. This first thing right here is, you can click the center right here. And maybe sometimes it selects, sometimes it doesn't. And you click entities to pattern, and you go like that. Oh no, that's the wrong center. So you actually can like drag it out. Hold on. I need to create a point right here. So once you create a point right here, then you can actually rotate it around here. So I took this, and I cleared that, and then selected this point right here, and then it goes in a circle around this point. And you can select the number of ones that you do, like that. And then now it's going to do a 4 because you repeated this circular thing 4 times. Now, you know that the dimension between here and here is 0.15, right here. And then the radius is 0.5 and 0.75. So if I select this, 0.5, and then 0.75. So now this thing should be basically fully defined. Oh wait, no. I need to do one more thing. So now, in order to get these so that they're the same height, I select this, and I select that, and I select make horizontal. Or not make it horizontal, not make horizontal, make collinear, so that they're on the same line. And that basically stops it from rotating. And now I can only move this around. Does everyone see how I got that? The whole thing again? Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. So there's a couple ways to make this. I was going over the first way that I made it, but there's actually 2 ways. Second way, you can go like this and create 2 circles. They can be kind of whatever size. Yeah, this is like the little challenge part of the house. And then because there's kind of 2 ways to do it, where I made this, I like kept adding stuff until I had the full part. But you can also do the subtractive part, which is where you add a bunch of things and then use the trim entities tool to trim in order to get it to what you want. So then you can go like this, and once you have 2 circles, I guess I'll dimension them. So the thing is, this is the diameter, but this is only in radius, so you're going to need to be careful about that. So this will be 1 inch, and then 0.75 times 2 is 1.5. And then now this is like kind of the same thing that you had before. But in order to get that little fun thing, you can take the line, then go across, take the other line and go across. And these can slide up and down now, but if you go like this, it's like 0.15, just like I had up here. This should not be vertical to something. Oh no, okay, what did I do? Here, let me just drag this out for now. You get, what? No. What is it attached to? Okay, when I made this is somehow inexplicably attached to this, so there. Bear with me, I'm just moving this down. Hello? Oh, geometry. Okay, well. Another way you can do it, so you go like this. A big part of this little central circle part is relations. So making sure that everything is parallel, everything is like aligned with each other. So let me go back to this. 0.15. And then if I drag this kind of up here, you'll notice that I have to do from this to the center, it'll be 0.15 divided by 2. Same thing vertically. And then now, I basically have everything, all the lines that I want. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the trim entities, just kind of go around the center like that. It's the same thing, because they're still constrained to this. One of these is not constrained. Let's see. Because like when you drag it around, the lines will be kind of like moving all over the place. But in order to make them so that they're the same, you just need to do collinear like this. So that they're basically just on the same line. Does that make sense? Awesome. So I'll keep going. Wait, where's collinear? Collinear. And then last thing I can do is trimming this. Oh, shoot. So if I dimension this now, it's what, 2.5 from the bottom. And then 2.5 from this, and then 1.5 from the side. You'll see this is now fully defined. And because it's black, that means, yeah, that means you don't have to define it. It's fully defined. So I'll get rid of the one that I did here, just so I can show you how I would otherwise do this. So now, if you go to linear sketch pattern, and you click on one, hello? Oh, I guess maybe not. Sounds good. So now I want to move this another 2.5 inches to get two of them. So I select all four of these, and then in the box up here is the direction it's going to go in. It says direction 1. You can mirror it in two directions if you want to. Let's see. Well, let me do that. Doesn't really matter because we're only going one direction. And then you mirror it 2.5 inches. And then you press this to swap the dimension. So now it's this way. Hello? What just happened? That was odd. Okay. That was not supposed to happen, clearly. And then you'll notice, oh shoot, what's happening? Why didn't it go 2.5? But anyways, in order to finish this off, you click the middle, and you click the middle of here, and do 2.5. Now it's fully defined. Any questions on the sketch? I know it's a lot, but this right here was just kind of like a mini challenge. All right, and then the last part is just going to extrude emboss base, clicking anything on the sketch. Oh no, this isn't what I want. So you have to go right here, right-click, clear selection, and then now it's going to select either contours, so like lines, and it'll select anything in the line, like this contour line, we'll select everything in there, or areas. So anything that's split by a solid line will be boundaried off as an area. So you click the area, and then I extrude a 1 inch, and it's like that. Any questions on the extrude commands? Awesome. So, final thing is to go into materials, right click, click edit material, and then search up pine. Then click apply. And now, when you go to evaluate right here, because now we want to get the mass, and we want the weight to be 0.59 inches per second, so this is going to be in pounds. I got 0.59 pounds. Any questions on that part right there? Unique. Oh, right here? That's just because it shows what was cut off for the detail view. Everything in the circle, like if I go to the house sketch, let me go to the, let's see. This is an earlier version of the house sketch, but when you click, so you click on the drawing right here, you can select whether it's a solid or whether it's wire. So this is what the drawing looks like, but this is what it will look like shaded. It basically just tells you everything in here is going to be inside the detail view. I can keep expanding it, and you'll see kind of glitches out, but as I expand the circle, more of it's going to be in the detail view. Yeah, well, it's a detail, yeah. Well, that's why you gotta look right here. See how there's nothing there? There's no dimensions given for it, and it also says B. So that's what you need to be mindful of as well. Is on the exam, they're gonna give you stuff like this, and it's gonna be like, ooh, there's an extra line on this sketch, but there's also a B, which denotes the detail B, and you're just gonna have to know that that's the detail. But that just comes with experience and knowing how to read diagrams. Awesome. Everyone good? Ready to move on to relations? I know we moved by a little fast, but now we're going to talk a little bit about how I got this circle to actually, like this little thing that I went over a couple times. I use relations in order to get those, and we're going to talk about them, or Abe is going to talk about them. Abe? Relations? Awesome. And then I'm going to pass the phone, whoa. I'm going to pass the mic to Abe, and he's going to go over sketch relations in order to get your lines collinear, to get your circles concentric, just general other stuff, which should be, no, where's the relations? Okay, never mind. He'll find them.
Okay, I think that's been about 5 minutes. If you guys are still working, that's fine. I'm just going to briefly go over the different relations that are available in SOLIDWORKS. We've used a lot of relations for this sketch, but it might be helpful for you guys to just see all of them in one place. So for this, I'm just going to go ahead and create a new part. You guys don't have to follow along if you don't want to. This is just purely for like an overview of all the different relations. So the first relation that we can do is coincident. So this is pretty useful. As the name implies, if you have a point or literally anything else, and you want to put it on top of something else of the same type, so a point to a point, a line to a line, a plane to a plane, etc., then you can just go ahead and click coincident, and it moves it to it. Second one that applies to planes, lines, doesn't apply to points, is the vertical and the horizontal ones. And the interesting thing about SOLIDWORKS is you can actually apply the same relation to multiple at once. So if I were to select both of these, I can put them both horizontal. I can put them both vertical. Oh, sorry. Tried to apply them both at once. But you can apply these both. Next one is fix. So I think we talked about in the first workshop that you never want to use fix. Does anyone remember why we shouldn't use fix? Who went to the first workshop? Fix. Nobody remembers? Okay, so basically fix is, if I go ahead and fix this, and what happens is that I cannot move it, or I can move the end, that's interesting. But basically you can't translate in space, because what fix does is it basically constrains it in all 6 degrees of freedom. So actually it's better illustrated if I had like a circle.
If you guys are struggling with relations, probably listen, because these relations are really important. These qualitative, if you guys are struggling with making a sketch.
Thank you, Nathan. So basically, like if I was to fix the center of the circle, then I wouldn't be able to move it. And the bad thing about this is that in most cases, you don't want to fix anything, because fixing basically constrains it to an arbitrary point in space. So if you ever wanted to change that point in space later on, then you would just have a fixed relation hanging around. And then when you try to change it, you won't necessarily know or remember that you put a fixed relation. So it's pretty simple, why we don't usually use it. In some cases, you might use it, but yeah, we usually don't use it. The next one that I'll cover is symmetric. So this is pretty useful if you want symmetry, as the name implies. And so in a sketch, for example, if I had, let me just go ahead and delete everything. Sketch, for example, if I had a rectangle like this, and then I wanted, let's say I had, oh, that's a good example. Let's say I had a circle on one side, and I had a circle on another side of the rectangle. But I wanted these circles to be symmetric about the center of the rectangle, then how I would do it. So this is where symmetry comes in. So I can go up to where line is, go down to center line. And a center line is essentially a construction line. The name says center line, but you can use it literally anywhere else. It does not have to be the center of anything. Like I can create a center line here. It just behaves like a normal construction line. But in this case, for symmetry, it is a center line. So I'll just go to the drop down, click center line. And then I can put it down somewhere. So go ahead and create a vertical center line. And if I want it to be symmetric, then I select the first circle's center. I hold Control or Shift. And I select the other circle center, and I select the line. And then this relation appears that says symmetric. And so basically, once it's applied, these two circles retain symmetry, as the name implies. Next one is tangency. So this is useful if you have a circle and you want something else to, well, be tangent to it. Can anyone tell me like a formal-ish definition of tangency? What tangency is?
Where they only connect at one certain point.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. So in this case, if I wanted this line to connect to this circle at only one point, I would select the line, I'd select the circle, and I can select tangent. And so basically, actually that's a poor illustration. I probably also need to make the point coincident to the circle. But basically, if I move the circle, the line retains its tangency, and I cannot move this top point relative to the circle because it retains its tangency relation. Yeah, so let me just illustrate what Colin said. So you have a center line and you want to say, I'll just delete this rectangle.
It's for rotating it around.
Yeah. So if you eventually wanted to rotate this circle about the center line, then you wanted a dimension for the total width or how wide it would be in the end. You can do smart dimension. You click the center point of the circle, you click the center line, and then so this is what normally would look like, right? Between the point and the center line, but then in this case, you can actually draw it out and then it automatically doubles it.
And those are for any construction houses.
Yes, yeah. Okay, is there any questions? Any confusing portions?
The basics of relations. This is really important. You guys need to really understand this.
Oh, and also one last thing, if you guys want to delete relations, there's two ways to go about it. You can either create the entity, one of the entities that the relation was applied to, and they'll show up with existing relations on the left-hand side. Click any one of them, right-click, and click delete. Or you can also click on the relation icon itself, and then press the delete key on your keyboard. For Macs, you guys don't have delete keys. I'm not entirely sure. It's FN? Okay, FN backspace. So you can also directly do that. And if you guys want to hide relations at any time, all relations, go to the top HUD or the top toolbar where there's a little eye. You can also just click the eye and then it just hides everything. Or you can go to the drop down and then relations will be specified by this little two lines with a little right angle symbol in between them. And so I click it, it disappears. I click it again, it shows. So yeah, I think.
Can you show how you can make a solid line and construction line?
Okay, sure. So we kind of covered this in the first workshop, but again, if you want a line or anything actually to become a construction geometry, then you click on it, right-click on it, and then select construction geometry.
Or you go to the left side and then it says under options for construction.
For construction.
And you gotta talk about construction.
Okay, if there's no questions, we can go on to our next part. So we'll just go ahead and go back to our slides. So this is as it appears Looks like quite a simple part. It is a simple part. But this is just to show what a shell feature is. So a shell feature, as it implies, is it creates a shell, creates a hollowed out feature. What we'll first do is you might notice that there's a weird 65-degree dimension here instead of specifying like a horizontal dimension or a vertical dimension. And so what this is it's called a draft. So actually, maybe we'll just go ahead and start, and then I can show you as we go along. So I'll just go ahead and delete everything. And we'll go ahead and start a new sketch on our top plane. And we'll just go ahead and create the base of this food tray. So it's 14.45 inches, 9.45 inches. So in this case, center rectangle, corner rectangle, whatever you prefer. Dimension it to the origin as always to make sure that your sketch isn't floating around in free space. Place your rectangle, and we're just going to go ahead and smart dimension it. I already forgot what I said. 14.45, and I am still in millimeters. PS. Okay. 14.45. And then 9.45. Okay, so pretty simple. Now, this is where draft comes in. So if we go ahead and in features, we go to extruded boss base, and then we leave all the other options the same, and we go ahead and specify an overall height of, in this case, it's 1.20 inches. Go ahead and say 1.2. Press enter. Wait a second. Okay, and then we also have to specify a direction of extrusion. So for direction of extrusion, we can go ahead and select. Wait a second. Okay, sorry about that. So to draft, you go ahead and click this button that says draft on and off. And so we want 65 degrees, so we'll go ahead and put in 65. In this case, it's drafting the wrong direction, so it's drafting inwards, so we want it to draft outwards. In this case, what it does is it generates this very nice outward extrusion instead of a normal vertical extrusion. But you may also notice that this may not be necessarily correct because it's at much sharper angle than it should be. So in this case, you might have to do 90 minus 65 instead of 65. Sometimes you just have to play around with it. But in this case, it should be 25. Okay, so this looks more reasonable. Does anybody need me to run through that again? Yes, drafting outwards. Yeah. So just a little primer on why drafts are useful in the real world. Does anybody know, actually, before I explain it? No. Okay, so basically, if you're molding something, or if you're putting something into a mold, if it's vertical, it's really hard to take out. Because if you think about it, there's a bunch of surface area on the edges here, and so if you want to pop it out, there's a lot of friction opposing it. But if you have a draft, then all you have to do is just give it a little kick, and the whole thing flies out. So this is very much used in, especially injection molding. There's standardized draft sizes for whichever mold you're using, whatever material you're using. In this case, it's just a food tray, so it's probably bent into shape. But if it was injection molded, then it would probably need a draft to be able to be manufactured in the first place. Okay, so we can go ahead and press OK on the boss extrude. And so now we'll go ahead and create our shell. So the shell in this case, see this very small dimension, it says 0.1 TYP. From our first workshop, does anybody remember what TYP means when you see it on a drawing? Yeah, okay, I heard someone in the back say typical. Yes, that is correct. So typical means that any similar dimension or any similar feature that you see on the drawing is probably also has the same dimension. So that in this case, it means that the shell goes all the way around at 0.1 uniform thickness. So to create a shell, we'll just go to our Features tab. And it's right here in the same, I guess, category as fillet, linear pattern, and the other ones. We'll click Shell. And with shell, you want to select the face that you want to remove. So in this case, we want to remove the top face, and we want a thickness of 0.1. That's correct. And I'll just go ahead and show a preview, just so you guys can see what it will look like. And if we press OK, then we end up with our final part. Does anybody need me to run through that again? Okay. So we click shell on the top, and then we click the face that we want to remove, which is the top face, and then we press OK. And then you'll end up with the final part. Does anybody need me to run through that once more? The default in my case was already 0.1, and the drawing it says 0.1, so I just left it as is. Yeah. And then as a last step, of course, we should edit our material. So in this case, it's alumina. So alumina. We'll click apply, we'll click close, and then we'll just verify that we've got the same mass. So we go to evaluate on the top, click mass properties, and we get 2.83 pounds, which is what it says on the drawing. Mass properties? Yeah, sure. So from features tab, you click evaluate. Then you click mass properties, which should look like a scale. And then mass properties appears. This window also has a lot of other useful information, like the center of mass, and then the axes of inertia, moment of inertia, etc. Does anybody need me to run through anything of this part once more before we continue to the next one? Are you guys okay if I move on to the next part? Okay, how about this? Raise your hand if you're not okay with me moving on to the next part. Okay, we're moving on to the next part. So the next part it's a keycap. This keycap is sort of representative of a real mechanical switch keycap. No guarantees if it doesn't actually fit. But anyway, so this also employs draft, as you can see, because there's a degree dimension. It says 12 degrees. And this time the draft is inward. So we'll just go ahead and create the base first. So the base in this case, we can assume it's a square because it looks like a square, of 18.15 millimeters, not inches. So we'll go ahead and create file, new, part. We'll create it on the top plane. Sorry. Go ahead and create, in this case, I'll just go ahead and create a center rectangle because it's pretty symmetric. It's a square. So select the origin first and then draw out. We'll click Smart Dimension. Do 18.15 millimeters. Sorry, let me just verify my unit system. It's millimeters. And so at this point, we have a rectangle where you can move around one dimension. So instead of creating another smart dimension, which you can, there's nothing wrong with that. Slightly faster way is to just select the top line, the side line, and this is the one relation that I forgot to mention, or multiple actually, I forgot to mention multiple. But there's one relation that's called equal. So if you select two lines, or two of anything, and you select both of them, then you can select equal. So again, I select the top line, I select the side line, I say equal. So in this case, it's now fully defined because both sides are now 18.15 by the equal relation. Anybody need me to run through that again? Okay, so if we have this square to begin with, we'll go ahead and actually, actually we're not. 18.15 out. So Okay, so we'll go ahead and go and create a, we'll create a extrude with a draft of 12 degrees inward. So we go to features, extrude boss base, blind in this case. The height is 11.10 millimeters with an inward draft of 12 degrees. And so that looks correct. And then we'll go ahead and press OK. So now we have our general form of our keycap. Next, what we'll do is create, we'll go ahead and create a shell feature. So in this case, can anyone tell me from the drawing what the thickness of the shell should be? One millimeter, because it's millimeters, grams, seconds. But yes, one. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. So, so yes, 1 millimeter. So we'll go ahead and go back to shell. In this case, the face that we want to remove is actually the bottom face. So we'll just rotate. Again, that's middle mouse. We'll rotate to the bottom. Select the bottom face. We want 1 millimeter of thickness. Oops, 1 millimeter. It's trying to autocorrect to 18.51. Okay. Now we press OK, and then we end up with our hollowed out keycap. Are we all good on this? Any repetition needed? Guard? No. Okay. So now all that remains is really for us to create the center cross feature. So we'll go ahead and select this inner face on the bottom, the inner face of the keycap for a sketch. So click on it, then right click and create a sketch on it. And then, so the general form of this feature is it's a square, and then you apply fillets to the ends, and then you have a cross in the middle. So we'll go ahead and first create another square. So we'll do a center rectangle with the center point on the origin. We'll drag out. In this case, the square has side dimensions of 5.60 millimeters. Do 5.6. And then we'll go ahead and define, again, use the equal relation. So we'll select the top and the side edges. We'll select equal. And then it becomes fully defined. Next, as stated before, we need this, the fillets. So in this case, we'll go up here where it says sketch fillet. That's next to hexagon. We'll press sketch fillet. And we want a radius of 2 millimeters, as it says here in the bottom view. So we'll go ahead and change that in fillet parameters. Press, we'll say 2. And then in entities to fillet, we just select the corners of this square. So this is one corner, equidistant. Okay, we might have to recreate the equidistant relation. We'll select 1 corner, 2 corners, 3 corners, 4 corners. And the preview pops up. This looks vaguely correct. And then we'll go ahead and press OK. And then we'll go ahead and press escape. This is one of the dialogues we have to press escape after you pressed OK, because it assumes you want to continue creating more. Okay, so now we have this fully defined rounded area, and now all we need to do is create the center cross. So the center cross, there's a couple ways to create it. You can either create it using only lines, or you can create it using 2 center rectangles. I'll go ahead and do 2 center rectangles. So we'll zoom in just to be able to see better. Select the center, go out. Select the center, go out. And since we know in this case that the cross is symmetric on both axes, I'll just actually go ahead and create 2 equal relations for the edges of these rectangles. So in this case, I'm going to go select this edge here, press Control, select this edge here, click equal. And then I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the ends as well. Anybody need me to run through this step or any prior steps? Sorry, what? Not yet, no dimensions yet, yeah. Sorry, I saw a question to my right. Did you? Questions? Sure, so I'll just go ahead and Control Z. So in this case, we want the ends to be equal to each other, so we'll select one edge, Control, select the other edge, and then click equal. Okay. Okay, so now we can test it quickly by just selecting anything, and then just goes ahead and everything updates, looks like a cross. So now we should theoretically only have to apply a few dimensions instead of many. And so looking at this section view, we can see that the thickness of the thin edge of the cross is 1.17, and its length is 4.10 millimeters. So that's this thickness is 1.17. And then lengthwise it's 4.10. Okay, so now everything is fully defined. And the next step is just to extrude. Does anybody need me to redo any of this before I extrude? Okay, so now we go to Features, Extrude, and then we select the contours that we want to extrude, because in this case it's not an entirely closed sketch, there's a lot of intersecting geometry. So we'll make sure that selected contours is selected, and we select the outside, and then extrudes perfectly. And then we want to, well, everything is flush here, so in this case we'll actually go ahead and use a different direction than blind. So under blind, we'll click up to surface. We can also select up to vertex. All of these work. I'll just go ahead and select up to surface, and I'll click this bottom surface of the keycap housing. And then if we rotate to the side, we can see that it automatically creates everything flush. Of course, you could also just create. Speak up. Okay, sure. So, do you need me to repeat anything? No? Okay. So, up to surface, or you can also do blind with the same dimension as before, but you always want to retain links between parts as much as possible. So you would always prefer up to surface over blind if it's possible. Anybody need me to repeat anything before we're done with this part? No? Okay. We press OK, and actually, before we're not entirely done, we also need to create fillets. So we have a couple of fillets actually on every single edge except for the bottom face. With a radius of 0.50, it says typical. So we have fillets, if you're looking at the isometric view, we have fillets on all edges of the top face, and also 4 fillets on each of the edges of the keycap. So to create a fillet, we'll go to Features, then we'll click Fillet beside Linear Pattern. And then we select the items to fillet, which in this case are all 4 top edges. So I'll select all 4 of them. And I'll also select all 4 side edges. And you might notice there's no preview popping up, which is because the fillet parameter is way too big. In this case, we only want 0.5, so we'll change it from 10 to 0.5. Press Enter, and then the preview reappears. That means it can be created. Anybody need me to run through anything before I finish? Okay. So we press OK, then we're done with the part. We'll just go ahead and go up. Well, we'll specify the material first. PBT general purpose on the bottom. Edit material, PBT general purpose. Press Apply, Close, go to Evaluate on the top toolbar, Mass Properties, 1.30 grams, and and 1.30 grams. Does anybody need me to repeat anything in the creation of this part? Yes. Sorry. The weight? Yeah, sure. So we go to evaluate on the top, and we click mass properties, and then the mass will be listed beside mass. I saw in other hands. Yeah. Extrusion of the cross? Sure. From the sketch or the parameters? From which step? Do you want me to recreate the sketch, or do you just want to see just extrusion? Okay, sure. So we'll go ahead and delete the boss extrude. Or actually, this is a good time to illustrate the rollback bar. So we'll go ahead and select the rollback bar. We'll pull it up above the fillet, and then we'll go ahead and delete the boss extrude. Select the sketch, go to features, extruded boss base, and then we'll select the outside, because we only want to extrude the outside. Oops, actually, we'll clear selections. Okay. And then we want up to surface. So normally it's blind. We just select up to surface instead. And then we want to extrude up to this bottom surface because it's flush to the bottom surface on the drawing. And then that's all we need. And we press OK, and it creates it. OK, nice. And then we pull the rollback bar back down to recalculate the fillet. And that's it. Any other questions before we proceed with the next part? No? Okay. Nathan, you're up. Nathan.
How much time do you have? Okay. Hello. I'm Nathan. I came here kind of late, but yeah. Okay. So we're gonna be working on the flathead screwdriver. So this part is very interesting because it's actually more of a cylindrical part than all the rectangles and drafts that you have done before. But we're gonna make use of this thing called a revolve. Let me make a new part. There you go. Okay, we're gonna be using this thing called a revolve bosser base. So let me show you. Okay, actually, yeah, let's go ahead and make a sketch. We're gonna. Okay, Okay, what do you think a revolved bosser base does? I mean, it kind of shows you if you hover your mouse over it. Yeah, it revolves some sketch around some line. So I think that little animation there is gonna show you. There you go. It's like, I think it's like, if you remember your maths, like washers and rings or something like that. I don't remember. Something from calculus. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and create a sketch on the right plane. The planes don't necessarily matter, but I want to keep them where I think the plane would be. So if I'm imagining cutting this screwdriver in half, I would think I'm cutting it in like the right or top or whatever. Anyway. So let's go ahead and just create this general shape. We're just gonna create this, this profile, right? And then we can do a revolve extrude, so which fully makes that entire handle. All right, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm gonna set. I try to keep the origin point as centered as possible. So whenever you want to do a mirror, it allows you to actually mirror things, which is kind of nice. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and draw. I'm gonna draw a. Let's start with a center rectangle. I'm gonna draw. Let's start with a center rectangle. I'm gonna start that here. I'm gonna midpoint this to here. Everyone following along? This is gonna be. We have time, right? I think we have time. Yeah, I'm gonna try to keep the origin like here. So this is kind of in the center-ish, but. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna go. Actually, I lied. I'm not gonna do that. Scratch that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and draw the rectangle on the other side. because this is actually not a rectangle. This is actually a curve and like a rectangle-ish shape, and then the end curve here. Okay, so I'm going to dimension this like rectangle here as 10. Oops, I forgot. This is in millimeters and cast alloy steel. Let me set that real fast. Everyone following along? Questions, concerns, comments? Everyone on the correct units now? And we have like an arbitrary sketch. Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get the midpoint of this line. So in order to get the midpoint of this line, it's not actually gonna show up. You're actually gonna get your mouse and hover over the line around the center-ish, and do you see that little box that shows up? That's the midpoint. So SOLIDWORKS is kind of smart, where it's like, hey, do you want the midpoint? Here you go, and that's what I want. So I'm gonna click Control and click those 2 points and make those coincident. So that's how I select 2 entities at once. I hit Control. Also, I don't know if this was explained before, but if you hold Control and middle mouse click, you can actually pan around the screen, and then if you just middle mouse click, you can rotate. It's different if you don't have a mouse to use. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and make myself back. No, put that back. And I undid what I just did because I clicked on the wrong button. Whoopsies. Okay, I'm gonna dimension this as 10 millimeters. That's 20, 10. That is 10. If I go here, distance between this edge and this edge is 120. Then make the 120. We're gonna detail this as we go. So this is how I'm imagining seeing this part, 120. Okay, so now we have that, I guess the handle, this is not the handle, I guess the actual screwdriver metal bit of the screwdriver. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and draw this, like get this weird screwdriver-ish shaped profile. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Draw a line here, seems like it's a vertical line. Hit escape to unselect. Gonna draw a center point arc. I'm gonna do the 3-point arc. It doesn't really matter, it's just an arc anyway. You can draw an arc, and then I'm gonna draw a horizontal line. I just want the general shape, that's what I'm aiming for right now. Just try to get the general shape. And I'm gonna get another 3-point arc. There we go. That's tangent, so that means that line is gonna be aligned with that line. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, any questions to how I got here so far? No? Okay, moving on. I'm gonna go ahead and select these 2 lines using Control or Shift, doesn't really matter. There's a question back there, guys. Someone has a question back there. Okay. Okay, so what I just did is make these 2 lines tangent, so they're aligned. Make this line horizontal, and then we're gonna, let's see. These arcs are gonna be a radius of 20. That is not my keybind. I'm used to using keybinds. Bear with me. Smart dimension this as a radius of 20. Since it's going to be revolved, I can actually technically make these equal. The dimension from this edge to this edge of that arc is 115. That is not my keybind. I'm going to select this point, make this 150, or is it, wait, was it 115? I don't remember. Sorry, 115. Okay. All right, so it kind of doesn't say here, but this is actually, these are actually kind of supposed to be aligned, and this is like a filleted edge. Oh, well, 20. Sorry, I didn't see that. This dimension here is 20. Let's from this point here to this point here. This is 20. And this point and this point is actually supposed to be aligned. So I'm going to select these 2 points. I don't think coincident. Oh, I guess coincident does work here. Make these coincident. Perfect. Okay. This line, okay, so I noticed that this thing is blue, which means it's undefined. So if I like move it around, it's broken. So this is how I kind of figure out what's not defined. So it seems like that this line is not the midpoint of this line, which I mean, fair enough. I don't think I really defined that. So I'm going to go ahead, click on the middle of this line, and click at the origin here. Click coincident. Okay. What? Okay, sorry. Oh, I'm silly. Okay, when I made these 2 lines, these are actually 2 separate lines, not one line. So I tried making the midpoint of a singular line. I'm actually going to make these equal to. So now they're equal. So there you go. Very nice, very nice. Okay, what other dimension do we need? Okay. That is a good question. Okay, so it seems like I'm missing a dimension for these. See if we be careful about this. Radius. I don't. Have we? Did I? I think. You don't think it's that? I don't think the dimension is there, and it got checked. I think I'm missing a dimension in the drawing. So I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm just gonna define this. Interesting. That is quite interesting. I don't think this dimension was defined, even though we had someone check this drawing. Okay. Yes. Okay. Do we have the original part? So I can check that. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and dimension this as coincident, and dimension this here as coincident. It may not look the best. Oh shoot. Oh, no, that's not right. What? Just don't coincident? Okay. It's like vertical. Like the vertical is not. Oh. What? There, 10? Oh, whoops. Okay, let's just set this as 30 for now. I think when we check this, I think we may, 35, okay, sure. I think when I
We'll adjust the drawing.
yeah, we'll go back and change it. It seems like we're missing a dimension. Let's just use 35 for now. Cool. Okay, and then so now we have this defined sketch. We're gonna go over to the features category and use a revolve, boss, or base, right? And then oh, I actually don't have an axis of revolution because you need an axis. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go and draw a line through the center, this center line. So that's a point where I can rotate the part around because SOLIDWORKS doesn't know where to rotate the part. This is kind of a cool thing. Under options, there's an infinite length option. It's just for me. It kind of looks like an axis that you can just set. You don't need to do this. You can technically leave it as undefined, but I like having the infinite axis. So it kind of shows that this is the axis where it's being revolved around. So I'm gonna go ahead, go to features, revolve, boss, or base. Select the line that I'm gonna revolve around. This is gonna be, select the contours. Select the 2 contours. This is gonna be from the mid plane. I'm gonna do 1, 80, I believe. It's self-intersecting, or intersects the center line.
You can only have the top part.
Yeah.
Make it
Okay. This is great.
just make it not construction.
This one here? Okay.
I don't think that's
I don't think that'll.
no. Make your construction like make your infinite line.
Yeah, make this a non-construction line and then revolve the top section only. Great. Okay. I have a feeling this might not end well. I think it wants this to be. Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah. There you go. So, okay. Just to clarify, I just made this line a solid line because it wants to do the 360 over the blind. So it's a blind 360. So that's how it creates that revolve. Yeah. So I made that line a solid line because I basically split the part in half. So we're gonna take that half and rotate it all the way around instead of doing the 180. But yeah, let's go with that. Oh, that's some fancy graphics. Okay, what's next? So I'm gonna go ahead and make this little this cutout for the flathead. So I'm gonna go and look at the right plane. Go look at the right plane, and then I'm gonna edit sketch on. I'm actually gonna edit on the right plane here. And then what I'm gonna do is make that cutout. So this is kind of like the shape of like that little rectangle bit here, but it's gonna be the cutout. So 12 by 4 inches. And I'm gonna draw an arc between the two. This is gonna be dimensioned as 4, 12. And then I'm gonna There's no radius on this. Wow, that's lovely. Okay. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna draw, I'm actually gonna reference the, okay, no, actually that won't work.
Select the center of the, so click the arc. And then the center should pop up somewhere.
Okay, I think that's how that was defined. I think the center line here is tangent to this line. Yeah.
If the center is set above that point, then it's like tangent to it, then it should also be like the very end of it. If the center is right above the end of it, then it's tangent to the very end.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead, make the cut. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. Actually, okay. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the top plane, and I'm gonna use this thing called a mirror sketch. So mirror entities under sketch. You can select that. So what that does is basically mirrors this sketch onto the other side of the part. And so now you have two of the same sketch, but just mirrored. And I'm gonna go ahead, go to features, go to cut extrude, and then there's a bunch of options, but I'm gonna go through both sides. So it just cuts through these two sides, and you have that flathead shape. Got that? Yeah, there's a bunch of options under the cut and boss extrude. These are very useful if you want to make a part like change as you edit, as you go. But yeah, this is there's a bunch of things here, like through all, up to next, surface, offset from a surface, offset from a body. up to a body, and then from the midplane. So I just did through all both. Okay, that's that. Okay. And then that is that. Lastly, we need this. We need this, I guess, circular pattern. Okay. Lastly, we need this circular pattern that is going through the sketch here. Okay. So how am I gonna go about this? Let's do. Okay. What I'm gonna do. This is kind of cool. I'm gonna create. So what I basically did is I'm gonna create a revolved cut. So what all this is, these are all technically semicircles all around going in a loop. So all these are gonna be cuts of like this weird circular shape. So just to kind of see this like section view kind of, I'm gonna go ahead. There's this thing called I think there's a section view here somewhere. Here, oh, this button. This here is a section view. So you can actually select the plane. So this is for like visual. Yeah, so you can actually cut the part. So it actually looks like you've cut the part using this view. I'm gonna go ahead. This is technically also on the right plane. So I'm gonna go ahead and edit on the right plane, not on this part. But this is just for this cool visual effect, I guess. But also just to see the internals of the part. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead, create this line, and then I'm gonna create this arc. Oh, I lied. This is not the correct, the center of that should be here. But do you see how I'm trying to create that shape from before? Make that horizontal. Okay, select that line. If I can, select that line. Take a tangent. Well, I'm trying to get this to make that revolved cut, right? Or okay, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and delete that. It's not wanting to mate on that, or maybe because it's a section view. Okay. Okay. Real quick, I'm gonna dimension the top of the line as 20 because that's the dimension from here to here. I would try to get this to be a relation, but I can't as of now. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. Before we leave, I'm gonna create the center line that I'm gonna revolve around. I could technically use the same center line from before, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then draw this line. Draw this line, and draw the arc. Make this bottom line, horizontal. Then this arc, this is a, oh, that's a radius of 3. Oh, if that's a radius of 3, then, oh, this is, dimension from here to here is 49. Dimension this line here, 49. Dimension from this line to here is 53. Would a slot work? Because you're technically revolving around, technically, yes, a slot would work. But I'm going a little bit of a roundabout way of doing this. But yeah, it's just to see that you can, it's just seeing the revolve cut. So I'm gonna go ahead and make these coincident, make this tangent. Sorry, I'm going a little bit fast here because I'm trying to wrap up. I'm gonna go ahead and dimension this line here to here, dimension that as 53. And then dimension from here to here as 20. That is not the button I was supposed to click. Dimension this as 20. Okay. What is not defining this? Okay, the thickness, which is technically a radius of 3. So this line, dimension this as a radius of 3. Yeah, just drag it around to see if there's what's not defined. So I drag that around, and now everything is defined. Cool. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do a features. Instead of a revolve boss extrude, is a revolve cut. So I'm going to go ahead. This is not the axis of revolution. I actually want it to rotate along this axis. And it's going to create this like little pill-shaped cup. And I'm going to have that. Lastly, okay, I'm going to get rid of this section view. Lastly, I'm going to go here. We're going to, since there's a pattern of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I'm going to cover the circular pattern. So under linear pattern, there's a circle pattern. So this is on the feature side. So I'm going to have it go around this axis. That's a lot of pills. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Click check. There you go. That's the screwdriver. Sorry, I went a little bit fast there. We're really running out of time. Yeah, we're gonna try to close this off.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming to workshop 2. The homework is also on the slides for this week. And we'll see you next week, same time.
I don't know why that. I'm pretty sure that was defined somewhere.
Can you say
Yeah, okay. Oh, and there's also like a fillet that I've missed, but it's just a fillet. You guys can add that by clicking the edge, the fillet here.